Teofimo's career has faced considerable scrutiny. Once hailed as the face of boxing's next generation, he's also drawn criticism for some lackluster performances. Many question his consistency. He often rises to the occasion in major fights, but appears less impressive in bouts where he's expected to dominate. This fight marked Teofimo's third defense of his WBO super lightweight title, taking on Arnold Barboza Jr., who after 12 years as a professional has finally earned his first shot at the title. Teofimo Lopez is a boxer puncher with explosive power, lightning speed, excellent timing, and sharp counterpunching. Lopez is known for his athleticism and quick feet, which aid in his ability to rapidly close distance. He's also comfortable both as the aggressor and as the counterpuncher. At times, Lopez could be inconsistent with his output and has shown lapse in focus. Against movers or fighters who don't engage, he sometimes struggled to cut off the ring and force action. Arnold Barboza Jr. is a pure boxer with a very balanced style. He maintains a high work rate, breaks behind a solid jab, positions himself well with good balance, and relies on disciplined boxing fundamentals. Barboza likes to use his movement and jab to control distance, and he's comfortable fighting at range or mixing it up inside when needed. He's durable and has shown good stamina deep into fights. While skilled, Barboza doesn't have one-punch knockout power at the elite level. He can be susceptible to fast, explosive fighters who can disrupt his rhythm or threaten his jab. Control in boxing can boil down to many factors, whether it be height, reach, power, or speed. To possess control is to dictate the terms of engagement, to become the architect of the bout's rhythm and flow. In this dynamic, the one who commands control acts with intention, setting the stage while the other is left to respond, reduced to reacting rather than initiating. Thus, to control is not merely to possess an advantage, but to shape the very narrative of the fight itself. A few things became apparent right away. Teofimo's speed advantage was clear, while Barboza maintained a balanced stance, distributing his weight evenly between both feet. Teofimo operated primarily off his front foot. Blessed with explosive footwork, Teofimo could do what many boxers, including Barboza, couldn't: close the distance from the outside in an instant. At its core, boxing is about landing your shots while staying out of your opponent's line of fire. By controlling range, Teofimo was able to dictate his point of attack. As for Barboza, he was forced to take on the role of counterpuncher. Since he lacked the explosive speed to close range quickly, his engagements were much easier to anticipate when he stepped in. This alone limited Barboza to only half his usual effectiveness, as his only scoring opportunities came from counterpunching, limiting his output and probability of landing multiple shots. When you're able to rapidly close the distance from the outside, your success against a competent counterpuncher often lies on your ability to create the right openings. The initial move or punch is vital, as it sets up your opponent for the shots that follow. Boxing at this level becomes a game of creating threats with probing and varied jabs, constantly playing with timing to keep the opponent guessing. If they're unable to get a read on your rhythm, they become more susceptible to reacting to your jab, which in turn creates openings for the power punches.
Teo looks super sharp today.
Good body shot. Yeah, he is sharp. He's on his space, looking to hurt him or either drop him with it.
10 seconds, gentlemen.
Swelling up here.
He just got countered with an overhand right. Ooh.
Teo's the opponent may have more natural talent. Barboza has beaten guys.
The effectiveness of an attack looms largely on the imminent threat of the lead jab. By constantly poking with his lead hand, Teofimo made it more difficult for Barboza to get a read on when he would fully commit to an attack. While Barboza did find some success catching Teofimo coming in, and between his punches.
That's neat that we're gonna need.
I gave to Barboza, the challenger, and I think most importantly,
Teofimo ultimately held the control. His persistent lead hand threat consistently triggered Barboza at a position.
The 10th round with the championship rounds, upon us. Yeah, he's gonna have to get a knock.
Check in with the one-time heavyweight.
It's extremely challenging to win a fight purely off counterpunching against a boxer who's thriving offensively. At some point, Barboza needed to take his chances to press his offense. However, those openings were quickly shut down by Teofimo, who proved to be an adept counterpuncher himself. Barboza's efforts to close the distance from the outside were too slow, as Teofimo saw every engagement before it even unfolded, catching Barboza right after his initial punch. Even when Barboza did manage to get in close enough to let his hands go, Teofimo's elusiveness made it difficult for Barboza to find a clean target. By throwing punches, Teofimo was able to exploit small openings between Barboza's combinations, further shutting down his offense.
Floyd Patterson to Olympic gold. Well, there are... Oh, Antonio. Is there still a gap in experience?
Teofimo Lopez on the ropes, but he's not covering up. He's moving, making him miss with every punch, and he have.
Once Teofimo found his rhythm, there was simply nothing Barboza could do to solve Teofimo's speed advantage. Teofimo's constant movement kept Barboza off balance, always a step behind and never able to shrink the ring. Even in the few moments Barboza opened up, he struggled to find his target. According to CompuBox, Barboza landed just 16.7% of his total punches against the elusive Teofimo. Any momentary success Barboza did have was quickly taken back, as Teofimo immediately regained control and never let Barboza get past the first gear. By dictating the distance and fighting from the outside, Teofimo was able to pick and choose his point of attacks.
Well, Lopez is, because I only heard him call out two guys. Another right.
While Barboza was simply too slow to close in the distance from the outside, let alone trap Teofimo or hold him in a pocket long enough to let off any meaningful shots. While Teofimo's career has faced criticism for his inconsistencies, there is no denying his talent when he enters the ring fully focused. Barboza Jr. was far from a pushover. He posed a real threat, as reflected by the relatively close -250 odds coming into the fight. At 27, Teofimo is clearly in his physical prime, as he continues to develop and eventually outgrows the 140-pound division. It's likely we'll see him competing at the welterweight division in the very near future.
Like I said, he's at his best.
Time. Good job. Good job.
Well, the boxing keeps on coming on design.